Welcome to Rewriting Your Reality, a video focused on hypnotic modalities to shift the belief systems that keep you captive. We will explore the journey from being subconsciously programmed to achieving quantum freedom. Get ready to dismantle everything you thought you knew about your own limitations. The mind's power is a historical fact. Franz Mesmer introduced animal magnetism in the 1700s. James Braid coined hypnotism, defining it as a focused physiological state. Crucially, before anesthesia, major surgeries were performed using this trance state, proving the mind's ability to override physical pain. My personal journey proves the mind transcends the body. A near-death experience revealed pure awareness. After being paralyzed, I reprogrammed my body through visualization and discipline. The core truth is that identity is the prison and the key. Your mind can reshape reality itself. Unmasking the global hypnotic modality. Secret societies and governments. They understood the power of the trance state long ago and weaponized it to shape societal structures from the shadows. Corporate hypnosis. Advertising and media use sophisticated neuro-linguistic programming, NLP, to obscure reality and shift your belief systems without your consent. The ultimate goal, to control the narrative, consumption, and consciousness of the masses, turning individuals into predictable units of a manufactured paradigm. They are the masters of the hypnotic modality. The first element of global hypnotic modality is authority, manufactured to establish psychological inferiority. Uniforms, robes, and controlled environments trigger unquestioning obedience. When you look up to an authority, your critical factor is lowered, accepting suggestions as absolute truth. The uniform is the first induction. The second element is translogic, a self-contained system logical only within its own framework. This creates a closed loop of reasoning. A doctrine establishes ultimate authority, turning rules into absolute truths. The paradigm acts as a perceptual filter, making external manipulation feel like internal conviction. The third element is overload, creating an intense, rapid-fire experience that bypasses the conscious mind. Techniques include sensory saturation, emotional triggers, and message overload. This forces the subject to feel something profound, anchoring the belief without rational scrutiny. The heart accepts what the head has no time to question. The grand illusion is when you become your own hypnotist. Division keeps us fighting each other, distracting us from the masters of the modality. They use filtered evidence to make you doubt your power. The ultimate control is when you self-hypnotize with their suggestions. I am not enough. This is the self-hypnosis of suffering. The quick release uses the Sedona method to clear emotional debris. Emotional baggage is just something you are holding on to. You can drop it using these 4 questions. Could I let this feeling go? Would I let this feeling go? When? Answer. Now. Repeat until you feel a tangible shift in your state. The reframe shifts meaning and reality. Change the meaning you attach to an event, and you change your emotional response. Content reframing actively searches for the positive intent or hidden benefit. Failure is just data and feedback. A block is a stepping stone. Change the question to change the destination. You are already in a trance. Self-hypnosis is choosing your own program. This is your new operating system. Use a simple countdown to enter a deep state and plant empowering beliefs into your subconscious mind. Consistent practice rewrites your core identity, dissolving suffering and manifesting the quantum you. Are you ready to take your quantum leap? This exclusive transformation package offers the book 30 Days to the Quantum You, custom video masterclasses, and a personal Zoom session for deep work. Stop fighting the illusion and start rewriting your reality today.
Greetings and salutations and welcome to Beyond the Mind, where I'm not here to teach you, I'm only here to remind you. Welcome and happy Friday to all. May you have had a wonderful week. Please leave a comment in the live chat section about how your week was. Also, I want to thank Peach. Peach, thank you. Uh, Just got to put that out there. Also, if you're watching on Instagram, if you're watching on Facebook, if you're watching on TikTok, welcome to Beyond the Mind, where I am only here to remind you what a wonderful week it has been. A very transformative and expressive week that has brought many great revelations. So, before I get into today's topic, which is the mind body connection. Oh, we got taking photos. Made a comment. Let me see what that said. I like to when I see it, I like to repeat. Oh, I love that. I love the saying, "I am here. I am not here to teach. I am here to remind you." Oh, thank you, thank you. It's a true statement. I am of the school of thought that there is a deep knowing that you already possess, a knowing and a resource that was there before the words that shaped you. And that program is flawless and it is connected to the very source of all there is. So, truly, learning is remembering in many ways because everything is done. And that's just my philosophy about that. But what I'd like to also know, if maybe you could put it in a comment, was how was your week? Was it a good week? Was it a challenging week? Did you overcome some things or did you run into new things? Did you climb some hills and find new ones self to climb? How was that week for you? I really, really want to know. So please share in the chat. Also, we will open up the lines for people to come in and share their week and also ask questions and to share. This is a community. We want to grow it. And the only way we can grow it is if we involve the community. So I like to always have the door open for you to come up and express your thoughts and your experience with the rest of the community because the unique fingerprint that is you has lived a life that none of us has lived. And you have learned things that none of us have learned. And when you share those things with the collective, we all benefit. So, getting that out the way, today I thought we go over the mind and body connection. And the reason I felt like that was because we had, first of all, let me say this. We had an entire show. Chef, if you're watching, you're loved. We love you here. We'll see you next week. Um, we had a whole show with Dr. Denise. Unfortunately, she wasn't able to make it this week, so we were scheduling her for next week. With as long as everything goes within the flow for her, we will have her here next week. Unfortunately, Chef had a couple things that he had to take care of today. He's in the middle of a some transformative things in his own life that's leading to wonderful development. So unfortunately he was able to make it, and I also had possibly another wonderful special guest, if they're able to get settled, which is my Gong Fu instructor, teacher, or he doesn't like to be called that Shifu, uh, was going to come on the show today, and and this is a part of the mind body connection. And I just wanted to share the dynamic culture of Kung Fu and how a lot of the internal, or what they call internal, my Shifu would say that all martial arts are internal, but in the specific way that it is categorized at this time, that internal methods have a lot of hypnosis in it. It has guided imagery. And if you've ever been a Daiji Chuan practitioner, right, or a Qigong practitioner, you may know this, but never made the association. Because when you're doing these breath works, when you get advanced, you'll be asked to imagine that energy in motion, doing something, going somewhere. And you'll begin to feel that in your body. And this is no different than sitting with me and me taking you through uh, imagery in a hypnotic state. The neurological response is the same because the mind, the internal world, don't know what's real and what's fake. It has no idea. And so when it makes a connection to something, it creates a neural pathway for it in the mind, right? And when we create that neural pathway in the mind, we've imprinted it there. It's now like a part of us, right? And that thing can be changed, transformed, and rearranged, but we was never really taught that. So the subject for today is body syndromes, right? Really, and the mind body connection, right? And how does that affect us in our lives? And what are some things we can do about that? And how we can begin to identify it? Now, Dr. John Campus had a saying: what the brain can't handle, it puts off in the mind. And what the mind can't handle, it puts off in the body. And this is to say that when we are in our minds overthinking or worrying or stressing or going through the different variations of what some might call negative emotions in the mind, it has to go somewhere. When we have problems or things that we're unwilling or unable to face and deal with, what happens is it gets put off in the body. And that can show up in the body in various ways, right? And what I really wanted to talk a little bit was about those kind of body syndromes, right? And how we get them and where do they come from? And body syndromes comes from the mind not knowing what to do with something. It doesn't know how to process it, so it kicks it off into the body, right? The body moves energy around. It's how we experience the world. So when that energy or that thing gets kicked off into the body, it creates a stagnation in the body of the flow, right? And so what ends up happening is various different things that we go through, depending on what it is, it gets put off into different areas of the body, right? So when we have a great deal of financial pressure that we have to deal with, you'll notice it in your neck area, in your shoulders, very tight, right? When we have to make the certain decisions and exchange things, and our hands begin to sweat, and we become very nervous with our hands, right? This is because something in our life at some point has slipped through our grasp. And now the nervous system has this condition where it's like, oh, anything that comes up that has to do with the exchange through the hands, this is where we begin to express those things. And another very interesting thing in how it expresses itself is some men and women experience bad relationships. And what ends up happening is because it's like no one cares, we take on this persona that no one cares about us. What happens is that body syndrome causes us to put on weight in the stomach area, right? And it becomes what some of us might call stubborn weight. I can't lose that weight. I can't shake it because the extra weight becomes a buffer between them and dating. It's a protection, right? Because the body is always looking to keep you safe. That's just in its creation, its job is to process this world through your senses, and the internal part keeps it is to keep you safe. So our minds are still functioning with the older ancient mind when we had to survive. So we still have these feelings that come up, but they don't represent what the situation is actually uh, entailing. So what ends up happening is you might put on this extra weight, and now it becomes the reason why you can't get a date or you're unable to get out there. The weight will keep you in that safety position, right? People who have issues in their knees, this comes from them unable to bend. See, the thing is, the whole body represents itself like a metaphor, like an analogy. It's a direct correlation, right? And the knees do what? They bend and they create balance, right? And without them, we're unable to stand. But it also represents our ability to be flexible. And when we're not flexible, right, and we're rigid, this energy gets translated into the knees. And you will find people with knee problems, right? And they'll tell you, "Oh, I've been suffering this for so many years." This comes from a internal conflict within self, right? And this is how it represents itself. When it gets down to the feet, oh, my feet are swollen. This has to do with fear of making decisions that cause you to move, making moves in a sense. And now it gets so deep into what side of your, even down to what side of your body you're having this problem on, right? And here's the interesting thing, because the wires in our brain, when it goes, it crosses the left side of your body, which is connected to the right side of your brain, is related to your mother. And the right side of the body that's connected to the left side of the brain, right? So, or the left, yeah, the left side of the brain, that's your father. So if you have issues where with the left side of your body, there may be issues you have unresolved with your mother. If it's on the right side of your body, there's issues unresolved with your father. Because when we don't resolve the issue in our minds, it gets put off in our body, right? And it's also represented in our language. We can confuse the body. And how do we do that? We do that through something called organic language. And here is an example of organic language. Man, that guy's a pain in my neck. Ooh, you irk my last nerve. This job is going to kill me. You give me a headache when you speak. This is making me sick. This is called organic language. And when you say this stuff out loud, the body hears it as well. And when you say these things enough, the body begins to accept it. And so we can inadvertently speak illness into our own self, into our own lives, when we don't understand that the language we use is very important. Even Bruce Lee had a saying where he would say, never talk, never say bad things, not even, never say anything bad about yourself, not even as a joke, because you're casting a spell over yourself, right? So the organic language affects the body. Now, if you have back problems, notice what the back is. The back is what? Behind us. It's the thing that people don't get to see, right? And so our back represents the things and problems we don't want people to know about. So when you have a great deal of financial pressure and you're trying to hide it and keep up with the Joneses in a sense, you will find a lot of neck pain back here, right? Because each part of the body is representing something, right? When we're having issues in our sexual lives, in a sense, maybe with our relationships and things, as I said, it will show up in the stomach, but it also show up in the lower back. So also when you're trying to hide finances, that will also show up in the lower back. So hope, well, not hope. Hope is for the hopeless. This should be giving you some insight if it's something you've suffered with or you may have witnessed others suffer with, because our body has nowhere to put it. The energy has to flow. When it does not flow, it will be put somewhere, and it will always be put off in the body. So that's a little bit about body syndromes. Another interesting thing about body syndromes, they come with a caveat sometimes, and it's called second gain. Sometimes uh, illness or dysfunction can be a gain for someone. And I'll give you an example. Let's say there's an older person and they raise their kids and their kids move out and they get older and now they don't like living alone, but they're scared to say something because they're getting older. So now they call their kid once a week or more because they've been rushed to the hospital. The child now has to come to the hospital and tend to the parent. And then they end up taking the parent home, setting them up and staying with them a little while, and then they leave. And then a week or so later, same thing. That is an example of second gain. She doesn't mean to do that. It's not her intention to do this, but this is, she was rewarded when it happened. And so the mind got the idea. So some of us are benefiting, right? And this doesn't only go to illness. This can go to secondary gain into relationships, right? It can go into somebody always needing you to drive them somewhere, because when I drive, I get dizzy or my foot hurts or I can't take, right. And now it becomes a thing about getting you to drive them whenever they need it. It is a gain from the problem. And whenever we have a gain from a problem and we continue to do it, it's because we have a secondary gain from it. We're getting something out of it and we're not even aware of it. So I wonder how many people have this issue themselves or have dealt with people that has this issue. But when I do open the lines, if you like to join in and maybe speak about your experiences, or if you've ever had an experience with a body syndrome or anything, you're more than welcome to come on in, participate, and add to the conversation. Because the reason I'm bringing it up is because I it's something that I find here in America is pretty active, right? When you look at the strategy of the pharmaceutical industry and how they create the commercials and the symbolism in the commercials and the images in the commercials and the suggestions in there, right? It just makes sense to me to maybe talk to people about, hey, I wouldn't, this is not medical advice, number one. If there's something if you feel there's something wrong, you should go to a doctor, right? That should be something you should do. If you've gone to a doctor and they've told you, "Hey, I don't find anything wrong," and you're still feeling these things, or you're having these pains, then this is a good thing to look into, because it's very possible that could be the issue, right? A lot of athletes who injure themselves, I didn't understand this myself. I used to uh, sprain all my fingers playing basketball on my left hand. Well, no, excuse me, on my yeah, on my right hand. I would sprain these fingers a lot, like the ball would hit this way, and it was always me. Like, and it was very interesting to me. Like, if it's really that common, why is everybody not getting hurt? Well, that's because they later learning that, wow, I had issues with my father. You know, I had some serious issues there, and it was expressing itself through injuries, because it wants to be addressed, and that's how it was expressing itself. And I find you have, when I tested this theory, I found many people in sports that seem to have been injuring themselves, be left or right legs. When looking into their backgrounds, you found issues with the family, and especially with the parents, you know. And so through research, I'm able to come to that understanding, and attending HMI was able to really have even more access to the data to confirm a lot of these things. And it has been confirmed to my mind that this is an issue. And I um, would really love to have some people, come up later and talk about some of this with me, because I don't want to go on for 2 hours, one, just rambling about about body syndromes, because I don't really feel like that will solve anything. But if when people come in and we are able to speak, we're able to really nail down some things for the rest of the audience to even get even a greater sense in a more personal way outside of what I'm presenting. So there's that. And I also too want to go over some things you can do, to alleviate some of those issues when it comes to body syndrome. One of the main things people can do is relax. We don't really relax a lot, you know. We don't really know what it means to relax and to stop and to slow down and to breathe deeply and to allow thoughts to just pass like clouds in the sky. We're constantly in multitask kind of, or I don't, well, one is human beings really can't multitask. We're just masters of switch tasking. We can switch from one task to another. We don't run multiple operations of a thing simultaneously. So, oh, okay. Hey, I see Bronze Tiger. That's the my Gung Fu brother. He's gonna be coming in shortly and adding to the diaspora of the body syndromes, which would be great, because that's the other aspect I really wanted to get into as well with the body syndrome is the Gung Fu, the breathing that can be done, that you can do, that will assist in releasing a lot of that. The thing is that, we've been taught kind of our world in reverse in many ways. We've been sort of taught to go after a thing physically, don't worry about what it feels like mentally, and eventually you'll get where you're going. Right. But I think enough of us have experienced it to say that that may be true to a degree, but that is not the absolute truth, and it isn't always the most best way or most comfortable way to actually achieve and get things done. And when it comes to uh, the mind and how we hold on to our problems, right? That can appear in a very different way. That is not something you can just push through. And there's a very important reason that you can't just push through. Uh, your problems like that. You're not going to be able to do it. And the one reason it's just not a push through. And even people who have said, "Oh well, I pushed through." Ask them about their journey and listen to the end of the journey. You know what they'll tell you? It was all odds was against me. I didn't know what to do, and I just let go. They didn't give up. They let go, and then it all worked out. Now, what if they would have just let go from the beginning? Sometimes you take the roughest road just so you can know you didn't have to take it. And the reason is simple. You see, that's your mind. Let's say that's your mind. That's your mind. Down in the bottom of this part of your mind, that's called your primitive mind. And I'm gonna show you right now why you got your problem. I'm gonna show you. Now, here's an interesting thing. This mind was the first mind that was formed when you was born. That primitive mind. And that mind is compiled of fight or flight. Now, some people could add on and say it was fight, flight, fawn, freeze. But it basically boils down to fight or flight. And those additional things can be thrown in any of those categories, depending on how you're defining it. So fight, flight. That's first thing. Here's another thing. The first thing you developed the fear of was, was the fear of falling and the fear of loud sounds. Because that's the first thing you experienced when you were born. So that's your oldest fear. It's down here. Okay. Now, what happens is fight don't show up the way it did 10,000 years ago. You can't just fight. We live in modern time. You have something called a prefrontal lobe. That's where your morals, art, all this lies there. This wasn't there when the brain first was formed. Okay. It was survival. And the mind learned to do things in a way to keep you alive. So, fight shows up as anxiety. That's what fight flight shows up as. Okay. So if you're in the office and you with somebody and somebody say something disrespectful or say something wild, you can't just punch them in the face. You know that, right? So if you may be the type of person that falls on the fight side, and you can't. Now that's building up an anxiety in you, right? So what do? You go out home, you hit a heavy bag, right? I go to a bar and hang out with some friends and vent. Now, flight, that's a different part of the equation, right? Flight means run away, get out of there. But we can't do that today, right? So fight, flight shows up a little differently in the modern age, right? Flight shows up as repression. We repress our thoughts, our feelings. We don't want to say nothing, right? We won't say nothing, right? And that becomes depression, right? That becomes depression down there, right? Now, from the time you born, you develop this. And in between that time, you're developing something called your knowns and unknowns. Okay? And we're gonna say uns and known unknowns is what you would call pain and pleasure. Pleasure would be the known, pain would be the unknown. So, and negative experiences. So, let's say when you were young, you got a piece of some chocolate cake. That was delicious. Yummy. You made a positive association with chocolate cake. It's great. But then somebody, let's say at school, whatever, teacher, right? When you were little, before 8 years old, you were little. Somebody made you eat some vegetables. Maybe your mom, something like, something you didn't like. You just couldn't stand it. So now you created a negative association, right? And even though they told you it's healthy, it's good for you, now you've made a negative association with healthy, good. Okay. Now this is how your mind's working, right? From 0 to 8 years old, this is what your mind is doing. It's making a list and compiling of known associations and unknown. Now, when you before 8, anything authorities say to you, you take it as fact. It goes in. They tell you when you were little, money don't grow on trees. You can't just buy whatever you want. You don't question that. You frame that. Now, at 8 years old, you develop something called critical mind or critical filter, right? Now, when you get this critical filter, it's there to protect everything, all the knowns, right? It's there to protect it, right? Now, how it works is this: it gets broken into two sides. This filter. One side is the conscious part, which we haven't got to yet. We're gonna get to that. You're gonna really love that part. And then the unconscious. Okay. This filter gets divided into two. Okay. Now above that, we have your conscious mind. You're gonna love this. Now, what's the conscious mind? Oh, that's your reasoning, your logic, your desire, right? Your reasoning, your logic, your desire, all of that is up there. This is the conscious mind up here. Now, seeing this whole mind, let's look at some math here. The conscious part of you, this makes up 12%. Okay. 12%. That's the conscious, right? 88%. That's your subconscious, unconscious mind. So you trying to change from logic and reason and your will and desire with 12% of the conscious mind against 88% that believes the total opposite. So every time you tell yourself, I'm gonna make this money, I'm gonna be rich, I'm gonna change my diet, I'm gonna change my life, I'm gonna do these different things, it gets pushed down up against this critical filter here. And what happens is it gets checked up against all the known data in this part here. And if this thing right here don't line up with what's in here, this part of you rejects it. Now, let's say you have this ideal, today's gonna be my day, I'm gonna change my life, I'm gonna change, I'm gonna do all these things. What happens is you say this, it goes down in this critical filter part here for a minute, right? Now it's gonna sit there, okay, for about an hour and a half, right? In the conscious filter part, it's gonna sit there like an hour and a half right there. It's just gonna sit there. Now it's gonna go into the subconscious part after an hour and a half. Now it's gonna sit in this bottom part here, just the bottom half of the filter for 16 hours till you go to sleep. By the time you lay down and this gets into the subconscious mind, it has been filtered, distorted, and diluted. It doesn't have the same strength as that 12% now. It's been sitting there. And by the time it goes in here, It don't have any effect on this information over here. These negatives. They don't have no effect on it because they're stronger in suggestion than the one you just let sit all day. So, how you can change that? Now you know where you got your issue at. So let's say you have a problem with, let's say, making money. Somewhere along the line, you got it in your mind from someone that was authority over you that it was difficult to make money. And then somewhere along that, you experienced it. And then that locked it in as a belief. But the mind doesn't know what's real or what's fake. This can be changed. It doesn't know. But if you try to present something to this mind and it's unfamiliar, remember what I said earlier about the known and unknown. We can use another term, right? We can look at it as pain and pleasure. The unknown to the subconscious mind is pain because it's still operating on survival, right? So, what you have to do to change it is to work on changing the way your mind has framed the event, how your mind has framed things. And you can change it. They say you can't choose your beliefs, but that's not necessarily true. You can't just up and consciously do this, but you can consciously work with your subconscious mind to have your subconscious mind do it. Think of how many things you do not do right now that is being done for you by your unconscious mind, right? Not 1 second while I've been on here have you thought about your heart beating and going, did it get every beat it's supposed to get? Not one time did you sit here and go, "Oh, I gotta remember to take breaths because if I don't, I won't be breathing." You're not telling your blood in your body to flow. You're not telling cells to reproduce. You're not telling your stomach to turn the food into energy and then take that energy and put it in an advanced system that pushes it out through every part of the body that is needed, which is every single cell in your body. So there's a lot of things happening that the conscious mind doesn't have to worry about because the conscious mind is the actor. The conscious mind is the actor. You understand? The conscious mind is the actor. The subconscious mind is the narrator and the production team and the prop master and the CGI guy and all that good stuff. The subconscious mind takes everything you see and turns it into something you understand. And that is very crucial to understand. And it doesn't really stray away from our body syndrome topic. It's all very much related, right? Because the more you say to yourself, "Oh man, I gotta work on me. I gotta change that. I gotta fix myself." Well, if you're not broken, what's the body gonna do? It's gonna break so you can fix it. Our language is vital to what we're experiencing. What you have to understand about your language is you don't realize it shapes your reality. You were born in this world and experienced this world without words. Oh, good. Hey, Peach, we got Bronze Tiger in the house. If you ready to bring him in, our guest has arrived. I'm just gonna work on that real quick, guys. I have Peach working on it. tell you what, Bronze Tiger, if you watching the show, Peach, could you go ahead and drop the link? I sent him a link, but I don't, Vibe said, I am now thinking of it. Wonderful. Um, Bronze Tiger, the link has been dropped on the show. If you click on that link, it should bring you right to the backstage. This is gonna be amazing because one is, let me tell you a little bit about this brother. You know what I'm saying? This brother is what I would consider a world-renowned kung fu practitioner. You know, I don't see many of our people going over to China, being accepted by the people there in the rural part and saying, "You're gonna be a part of my family system. I want to teach you." You know, he also won a gold medal in Swai Chow, which is Chinese fast wrestling, which is something I didn't even know exists. But it actually, here's the interesting fact about Swai Chow. It was what the Mongolians used. It's why nobody could beat them. And after learning some of it myself and applying it, I can tell you it's devastating. It's powerful. Hey, there he is, everybody. We got Bronze Tiger in the house.
Greetings, greetings, greetings. Getting my settings together, my bearings. Let's see. All right. Greetings, all.
Yes, greetings, brother. So good to have you on. I was just telling the people a little bit about you, you
Ah,
know,
indeed.
and I was letting them know how you had won a gold medal in China in Shuai Chao, and
Hmm.
how I didn't even know that there was this thing called Chinese fast wrestling. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
And that it came
Hmm.
from the Mongolians. How devastating they were as warriors. And
Hmm.
I was also sharing with how you brought some really amazing kung fu practitioners here to America, man, that had not been here before you. You
Yeah.
know, and this is just a really exciting treat for the audience and especially for me. You know, to be able to. This is the by the way, this person, this man here actually helped me help myself to save my life, to change my life. I really wouldn't be fully the person I am today without him because of him, I got exposed to a whole nother side of the world and life, um, and I got to live in the school with my brother and get up every morning and train diligently and we had so much fun training and he used to tell me, Doc, stop talking to people, stop. There's too many people because I was so full with joy with it. It helped me. It saved my life in a way. Where I was at. I was messed up. They told me I'll never walk right again. And I refused to accept the diagnosis. I went with the power of the mind, and my brother just showed up at my door. I cannot make this up, and was like, "I'm back. Were you serious?" And on that day, I was like, "Yes. Are you serious?" And we went on a what 14, 15-year adventure together in life, just you know what I mean, training and making new friends, and my brother being able to travel over to China and represent for us, you know because my thing was you brought something we'll never hear about that, you know and our image is a certain way as black men, you know, and 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 for you to been able to go over there the way you did, you know, and meet the incredible masters you did, but not in a Beijing city kind of, everybody goes their way, but out in the farmlands. And when I seen the video, I know what I'm talking about. My man was out there in the middle of the sticks. Nobody had a cell phone. Hey, your volume is out. I can't hear you.
Uh oh.
Oh, there you go.
Okay.
I hear you.
Yeah, off the beaten path, as they say.
Right, right.
Yeah. Been quite an odyssey.
Yeah, so I just wanted you to, and the mind body connection, and we were just talking about, and I had discovered, uh, they always call me the doctor because I'm always dissecting and going in. on information,
Indeed.
you know? And when I
Indeed.
found this connection with the hypnosis and the Kung Fu, and I'm like, oh my God, I've always been practicing self hypnosis, never understanding that it was hypnosis, you know?
Yes.
And so
Yes.
what I wanted you to start with is just a little about your background, you know what I mean? And how you use Kung Fu to make that mind body connection for healing for people. Because you are a teacher, you have helped many, you helped me, you helped me to the point where I was able to have the school out here and help people that like that was messed up really badly, you know?
Honor. Am I muted? Okay, we go. Uh, Greetings all. Uh, People know me as Coach Tiger, Tiger the trainer, Coach Sudan, what have you. But hey, I'm just your brother here. Lifelong practitioner of martial and cultivative practices, and it's been quite an odyssey here with me and brother Talib. He was the first person I ran into that ever, well, not ran into, we were friends already for a long time before that from the same circle. But out of everyone, he and I were the only ones that really gelled and really were keen on the self work. And I was in the process, advancing the process of my own self work. And in that time era, I returned home here to New York, and my brother needed me. And I extended to him the opportunities that I had that he would have taken also had they extended to him in the same time frame or whatever, a favorable time frame. So I'm a coach, practitioner, researcher, uh, eternal student, and trained here in the States and in mainland China. Uh, Specializing in a lot of the internal methods, in particular Xingyi Chuan and Ba Guajiang. Xingyi being a method that's based on Taoist metaphysics and the idea of transformation via the
Mm,
principle of the five elements, which is what we're building on a lot right here. This is all for the goal of transformation and, ascension. So we've always been cooking on this channel for quite a long time. So with what you're sharing with the people now, brother, it just rings so many bells, and it makes me proud because in some ways you've taken it to another level,
thank you,
to
brother. Thank
another level of the self application. All the years of the qigong practice that we did. And when we talked the other night, it just really touched a nerve and hit home. Qigong, of course, qi is your life force, the reason why you're alive, the reason why you are 98 degrees, the reason why your internal and external moves, the things that make things move, makes the ant walk, makes the planet rotate. It's the buzz of the universe that live in a tune we live in tune with, and we can also tune in also. Sometimes we're living uh with the flow of it but unconnected, if that makes any sense.
Yeah,
The universe is spinning, but our lives and our aspirations and concerns are paramount, bigger than the planet itself to us. Chi being your life force, and Gong meaning work or practice. We were practicing, you know, life energy. We were practicing cultivation, and a lot of those things involve the breath and the mind leading the breath, and the breath leading the energy and the circulation. You know, some people call it. You could look at it in the realm we're in now as a form of self hypnosis. Other people call it simply visualization. You
right.
know, both things are catalysts that are related to intent. Do you intend to do some work? And it starts with the intent. And you just feel it in your heart. How about that? You feel it in your heart. It begins in the heart, and then the mind comes in, and then the body follows. You would think that it starts with the thought in the mind, but it's actually the feeling in the heart. The
Mhm.
intention resides in the heart. To The heart is related to the fight or flight, of course. That's where you feel it. You know, your heartbeat rises. You get that adrenaline dump at a loud sound, or a dog jumps out that's aggressive, and you're like, "Oh, am I going to fight? Am I going to run?" You know, and you get that
Mhm.
adrenaline dump. You know, the mind processes what's been observed by the heart and makes a decision. You know, so they say the heart leads the mind leads the energy, and the energy leads the body. This
Mm.
is nothing but our human biological makeup. You have an intention to do something, and that's in the heart. Your mind says, well, this is how we're going to go about doing that. And through the electrical signals and the muscles and, you know, how the body functions, the mind tells the energy, hey, raise the arm to make the phone call to call the kung fu school or the wellness school of Dr. Taoib or what have you. So we've been toying around with this stuff for quite a while. And to your question, asking me how did I use this stuff to uh, do self work and cultivate, you know, you can attest to this because a lot of our challenges have taken place side by side. You were there for a lot of my greatest challenges and vice versa, you know.
Yeah.
And
You know, it's funny you said that because I just shared a story with someone that I was working with, and they had actually, it was from one of the shows I just did recently, and I had a gentleman on there by the name of Mutayel, and he had served, you know, and
hmm,
so he was using, hypnosis and NLP to help veterans and other people with PSTD, right? But he had lost his dog recently. So you could tell when he was telling the story how it really got to him. And and it made me think of you,
yes,
you know, because, if you don't mind, you lost somebody very close to you who
hmm,
I was very close to,
indeed,
between the two of y'all changed my life,
hmm,
and when we lost that person, when they transcended to the next existence, you know what I mean? I didn't really know how to deal with it. It broke my heart, and
yeah,
the way you handled it, then you made me realize something then that later on became even more powerful, right? Because you honored her. You turned it from a tragedy to a celebration, and you only spoke highly of them, only, and only remembered the good. You know what I mean? Because you said you're gonna honor them, and you wanted to teach everybody else how to do it, so you led by example. And I thought back and I shared this story with them,
hmm,
which made them reframe how they was looking at their loss, and how at least how they decided to share it. You know what I mean? And and I just wanna say I never get a chance. I'm so glad I get to say I wanna say thank you again. That's another thing as a great teacher you shared with me. You know what I'm saying? That was able later in life, I was able to actually use that to help somebody else. Alright, you can't your audio is out. Do you have earbuds by chance?
I do. The muting and the unmuting is happening on the screen. It seems like it's appearing on your end.
Oh, it might be the restream, I'm not sure. Um,
Yes, I keep seeing a message that says I'm unmuted and then I'm muted.
mm.
So can
Oh,
you hear?
okay, okay. Yeah,
So
they
can
doing it from behind the scenes because there's like a delay or something when you're speaking, and they were
right, an
trying to make
overlap.
sure they could,
Got you.
clean that up.
So
And they was the one asking me if you had
yes,
headphones.
yes. Um, in response to that great share, I'll be humbly transparent. As far as how I use this stuff, I wouldn't say I actually used it. I would say that I fed myself a certain diet, certain mental and philosophical diet, and the activities we involved in. That when the situations came to happen, I was I already had access to the tools to process it in its proper fashion. A lot of things, sickness is an interesting thing because some people lose people suddenly. They were fine 1 minute, and the next minute they're gone. Sudden. In my sense, it was a long period of deterioration and a fight for a person's life. My previous spouse. So, interesting things. I did have people around. I did need to set an example, but I won't sit here and take a high seat or a lofty position and say, "Hey, I was able to shine in the most toughest circumstances. I'm this incredible human being." No, I just happened to feed myself a certain diet of mental and philosophical tools that were there for me. And to be honest with you, there were two choices. There was one, go insane from the incredible challenge of it, which is normal for a lot of people, or see clearly.
Mm.
Um, Sometimes people resist seeing clearly, either subconsciously or unconscious, or consciously or subconsciously. Uh, Seeing clearly might involve letting go.
Mm.
Very difficult to do. Seeing clearly, in my case, might keep me from lamenting this person to a level I think they should be because it's such a sad situation. But, and I was fortunate that a lot of things took place. If I had never been in this situation with my spouse, I wouldn't have met the teacher that I had. I would have not been in a position to meet the people that gave me certain tools. I would have not been in a position to return home and connect with you. And my first serious cohort in this research. The first person that took it and ran with it and applied it and manipulated and cracked it open, you know. So I'll say it's good to do what we're doing here, acquaint yourself with positivity, with solutions. Sometimes the usefulness of these solutions isn't evident in the beginning. The time is coming for application. Because, like Bruce used to say, knowing is not enough. We must do. Doesn't matter what you know if you can't apply it. And sometimes you'll apply it out of cleverness, and other times you'll apply it out of necessity/desperation. And the beauty of that is, in desperation and a bit of cleverness, that was the biggest gift, to see what it all meant.
Mm.
You
Mm.
know, to see what it all meant, to see the purpose, to say, "Oh wow, there's a reason behind all of this." What did Pink Floyd say? It's another brick in the wall. That is the construction of me. All these different bricks and different components that we know. Now, us being martial practitioners, anybody who lifts weights or dances. I mean, imagine a ballet person. The first time they try to do a plie on their toes, they probably break their feet. you know, uh, you know what I mean? Lifting weights are micro tears in the muscles that repair themselves. And there's a metaphysical and mental and philosophical body of ours that has that same element. The
Mm.
micro tears that are repaired to be stronger.
Mm.
You
Where
know,
would you suggest somewhere, let's say, for people out there listening, where would you suggest somewhere start, and if they wanted to take martial arts and start training and using it with their meditations and adding on, because I'm gonna be honest, not everybody likes to just hit the gym and push up and do pull-ups and stand on these machines. Some
mm,
people are looking for that connection. I always found I loved Kung Fu because it's a mind-body connection. You will get in touch with yourself in ways you didn't even know you can get in touch with yourself, you know, when you're doing these things and you're training it. So, I would love for you to share what is a great place for people to start. Why you think they should start there?
I would say that a good place to start is to, we scroll and zombie out on stuff every day anyway. You know, start doing that with things that are beneficial for you, like, you know, this program or other things that will help you, and start to uh, notice things that you like. Some people love Kundalini yoga. Other people love Pilates. The what our motto is always get up, get out, and do something. We've never been really evangelists. Get out and do something. Um, Start researching. Start looking at different martial arts. Uh, Something might just sing to you. Say, "Wow, I really like Wing Chun for some reason. I just like it." You know, and we were in this thing of internal and external, all these different things, but there really is no separation. So you just start doing some research, and the first thing is to pick something and get up and do it. If you live in a town where there's only a judo school, go do judo. Don't be like, I really want to do dragon style kung fu or something. I'm gonna wait. Why wait? It's all the same, because what happens is a lot of these people in the different disciplines, they end up relating with each other anyway. So the
Mm,
idea is to get up, get out, and do something. But you can research, in particular, you can research cultivative and internal, quote unquote, martial arts, even though that statement is kind of a misnomer. Because the idea is you want to get involved with something that unleashes your personal power, that becomes a personal power program. And that's what I've emphasized. Kung Fu has a thing called Taolu. You know, in karate they call them kata. Taekwondo they call them forms. Forms where you're shadow boxing. There's no one there, but you're moving, doing solo practice and solo movement. Now,
mhm,
in one sense, people can say, you need contact. You need contact to get good. You can't get good by yourself. But one of the
right.
hardest things to do is to be by yourself and be at peace with yourself.
Mm,
So solo practice actually is golden, because you're training to defeat your previous self, not really anyone else. So investigate and discover things that become a personal power program. It's not about whether you can beat Tim, it's a matter of, can you beat yourself
mm,
and improve yourself? Can you find your own personal power? So I find with Taolu and Qigong, you're doing your own self alchemy. You're doing your own personal alchemy. When you're doing a form, wherever the power points in that form, you know, those power points are not power in general. That's your power when you're practicing it.
right.
So finding that inner self, that personal resilience, that personal power program. Basically, find something that sings to you, and don't go into it just thinking, "Oh, whose ass can I kick?"
Mm,
Because there's only one ass you need to kick, and that's your previous self. You
yeah.
know, so it's
And
all about how you enter into it. It can anything can serve that purpose. I wouldn't say any particular one, because any particular one can do the same trick, from Brazilian jiu-jitsu to shuai jiao to whatever the case may be. Because the bottom line is, you're facing your strengths and weaknesses, you're stepping out amongst others and being transparent to say, "Here, I'm here to learn something, improve, and share something." And that is a bold step. That first step usually is the beginning to an odyssey.
mm,
The beginning to I have people who are from other methods that we both had that look in our eye that's common, that we both have that spark, like, wow, I found something. I found my thing. Find your thing. That's why they call it martial art, because art is about the expression. You know, uh, People say, martial arts is just, you want to do fighting. Martial arts is an art. Fighting is an art too, but the art, a part of it, is the personal expression. And that's the part that's golden because, yes, we want to be able to handle business when the wolves are at the gate and when diplomacy fails. But you know who you're around and with and allied to and also possibly against every second of every day? Yourself. Doubt, uh, shyness, you know, past wounds, depression, what have you. That's the greatest battle you could ever win. Harder to win than against any other person because, I mean, let's keep it real. We're in the age of hot weapons. The best self defense method I know of usually starts at like 40 caliber, goes up to 50 cal, then goes up to, missiles and ordnance. We're really keeping it real here. But is that all of the aspects of life? Are those the toughest aspects of life? Mastering your inner space. When Hickson Gracie's son died of a drug overdose, he couldn't really jujitsu that stuff. He had to go within. So I would say just research the world of martial arts itself. There's so many. Go with what is in reach, what's accessible to you. Do your research, and it doesn't have to be the only one. It can be boxing. I'd say boxing is great for everyone. It's something you can find everywhere, and everything emerges from boxing anyway. Because we defended ourselves by using our hands to put space in between whatever the thing is. People say grappling was first, but no, striking was first. You put your hands up and defend yourself. Then, it's a wild animal, then came weapons that put some space. So martial arts originally came from us defending ourselves from wild animals. Then rival human tribes, So that's my advice for that. Do your research. There's a lot of arts there. Look what's in your area and look what you have. Look at what you have the best quality of access to. If it's an online program, that's great. In person is the best. It's not the only thing, but I would say just do research and study, just like you studied which way you would want to go in working with yourself. Is it going to be Reiki at that time? Is it going to be some NLP? What have you. The world is a menu, and like they say, there's many paths to the mountaintop. I'm a fan of every single system there is to man, but I chose to be halfway decent at a couple of them and admire the rest vicariously through my friends. So, but I would say as a person, that's part of standard issue. They don't teach us that. Standard issue. Cooking, you need to know how to cook for yourself and cook healthy. Art, you need to know how to express it, have an outlet to express yourself. Paint, sing, play a drum, personal expression, physical training, mental and physical toughness is the theme song of the human existence. Challenge and pressure grows us. In the Caribbean, they say pressure either bust pipe or make a diamond. So
Yeah.
it's all philosophical and perception. All of our challenges are gifts. Because guess what? After that, you're stronger now. You're physically stronger. You're mentally stronger. You're philosophically stronger. And these things equal, in my experience, to a clearer perception. Oh, this is another version of one of these. I've seen this before. Imagine if you hadn't seen anything before. How would you get stronger? Imagine if there was no pressure. How would you get stronger? There was no gravity. How could you stand up? How could you get back up? So wow, it puts an incredible value.
If you didn't hit the bottom, how would you ever get to the top?
It puts an incredible value on falling.
It puts incredible value on reframing what you think is happening to you.
Yes. And in our early studies, Todd, we dealt with that yin yang principle, that duality. And that was our first real immersion kind of almost a one size fits all to any situation you could think of. But we are human beings, and application is no walk in the park. You could know it very well. Know, okay, I know, but this is, yeah, but nothing.
Right. Right.
It's the same. Oh, but yes, you too. But yes, him too. You got to show up. You don't have to. You could choose not to show up. It'd be a pity and a shame, because when you show back up, you're immediately of service and use to others to share your experience, you know. And this is the key, to
And martial arts opens up the door to make very unique and incredible friendships. You know, they don't really talk about all the friendships you can make. You people really just stereotype and think you're going to be in a bunch of fights all the time, trying to prove that you got some style that's better than everyone else's. But really, it's a journey of self development, and you find many other people on that road. You know, and it can really expand your horizons beyond what you believe your life could be when you start dealing in that, because it takes certain type of individuals that have a particular type of thinking that pursue that in the first place, you know and um I just want to say thank you, because this has been a wonderful so far, just hearing you share this viewpoint. This is from a real certified, he don't like saying it, but it's a fact. It's a fact. He's a certified master of Kung Fu. This guy, he got the paperwork. He did years and years and years. Listen, I tell people all the time, you really want to be good at you could do anything with just doing it 20 minutes a day. That's it. That's all it take. 20 minutes a day. But here's the see. You want to be good, you want to be really good, you're gonna have to throw some obsession in there. You're not gonna get where you wanna go without being a
yeah,
little obsessed over it, so,
yeah, yeah,
you know
yeah.
what I mean? And that healthy obsession creates something great. And when we look at anybody we think is great, when you look at LeBron James, Michael Jordan, you look at, Michael Jackson, all these people, they had some obsession with what they were doing, you know? They didn't sacrifice a party. Parties didn't have the value as the obsession did. They didn't sacrifice the friends. The friends just didn't have the obsession. And when you add a little sprinkle of obsession on whatever you're doing, you're gonna do it exceptionally well.
Indeed, indeed. Having access, having access to yourself. You know, I think a lot of what you're sharing is alleviating the scenario of not having access to your own self in your time of need. And how do you create that pathway? You know, this is an interesting build because people will find what we've done, a lot of it incredible, and this and that, but it's really just, it's a very humble odyssey. We've placed some things in ourselves that is almost more uncomfortable than being lost, because now you know, and you can't retreat back to ignorance. And that's been an extreme challenge. You know what this situation is. You know that everything happens for a reason, quote unquote. All these mantras, all these aspirations. But we are human beings. You know, I've been to the point where I didn't want to be knowledgeable. I would rather not know that, but I already know better. So I'm not allowed to go that route, you know? And when I go that route anyway, it's almost like instant madness, because you know, and you just want to join the ranks and feel some pain for a while to feed your ego, because that's all the ego. I didn't want the person to depart now, something we can't control. Never mind the joy of meeting them in the first place and being amongst the alumni of their loved ones, which is eternal. You know, this is a game of perception, not even a game. Well, I mean, it is a game because I guess life is a game. you know, it's like a game of chess. You must think first before you move. You know, and it's really a great ride, man. You know, just finding your thing and cultivating it. That thing that you cultivate is the very meaning of what we say kung fu, or time and practice slash acquired skill.
Mm.
That includes the guitar, that includes cooking, that includes being a mangaka, drawing, whatever your thing is, a thing to pour yourself into and cultivate. You know, that's the best thing, to keep your mind occupied and express from the heart. Sometimes you need to go into the heart. Don't spend too much time in the mind. It's a big place in there, easy to get lost,
Mm-hmm.
slip on a banana peel, and be thinking some wild stuff without having foundation and anchoring to return to. So I always tell people, you know, don't overthink it. Sometimes you can sit, and we know this inner space is more grand and larger than the outer space, and they don't know how big that is. You know,
Right. Yeah. You know
you
what
know,
else too, man? I wanted you to before because time. I'm looking at. I'm like, wow, bro. We done ate up. Time is moving. This is
when we get
beautiful.
up, time
It's a great
speeds up.
conversation. To be honest with you,
When we get up, time always speeds up. We used to
it
do
speeds. So we
four
used to be training. We looked
four
up. It's
hour, 5 hour
4
training
5
sessions that
hours.
feel like 10 minutes.
Yeah, we like, bro. We just started. Let's go to. It's like,
The sun's coming up,
but
and we're not tired.
I wanted to also talk to you a little bit about the program you've been putting together. And how people can get in touch with you because you are a trainer in Kung Fu. You do help people and you do have a program. And, you know, we want to spread the word of the program because it's a beautiful program. More people need to see you, get to know you, because they can come to you and get a whole nother level of well being and treatment that is much needed in this time of high stress and anxiety and poor health, you know? And so, I'm gonna go ahead. You know, I'm sort of being a lot quiet here because you dropping jewels, and I just agree with everything you're saying. So, but I do want to not waste my all the time because I want you to talk about what you got going on with your program. You know, you can share why you're doing it, however you want to discuss it. But we got to get what you're doing out there.
For the time being, you know, the bulletin board for my hub will probably be right here with Brother Talib. I've discovered app building, so now I'm under construction with an app right now to offer this um, physical and mental martial fitness via Ma Family Tongbe, which is a prominent uh, Islamic school of martial arts in Northwest China. Of course, Chinese wrestling, and of course, my Savage Sanda program to get people throwing their hands and stuff. So stay tuned. I'm under construction at Base 44 over there, and we'll be doing some updates on when that launches, and you'll be all you guys tuning in here and other places, you'll be the first to know. But right now you can contact me on my Facebook uh, page profile at BronzTiga, Bronze Tiger, and you can hit me up there, and you can get all the bulletins and updates of what I'm doing. I'll be doing workshops soon, so stay tuned for advertisements and bulletins here with Talib, and when you link with me on my social media. Um, so contact me on my Facebook, and I can guide people into my private group, which is Tongbe USA. And there we work on all kinds of stuff: weapons, swords, energy work, uh, and what have you. Very unique and invigorating approach to uh, self construction. What we're doing is we're bringing the old and the new at a junction point. Modern meets traditional. Traditional meets modern. You know, we're bringing things to a modern application. For example, I mean, the kettlebell was something old that disappeared and came back. So that's what we're doing. We're bridging the gap between modern and traditional because they're complementary elements. You know what I mean? So I think it'll be something very dynamic in the sector of what they call kung fu, which we more accurately call Chinese martial arts. Kung fu is kind of a misnomer, as you know. It doesn't describe any one practice. It's the kung fu is the act of doing something and perfecting it over time. It doesn't tell you whether it's Wing Chun or anything like that. Um, and that's that. Stay tuned. Big things to come, and later will be greater.
Just go look up Bronze Tiger on Facebook. You can reach out to him. He'd be very happy to communicate with you and share the knowledge. The both of us for many years have been trying to just be of service to humanity. That's been, and it's so weird that I sit here after knowing this person for like 30 years at this point, and I can sit here and go, wow, for 30 years I've known this person, and their goal has always been to help, to be of service to humanity through the martial arts, but really just through him as a person. I mean, it's not like he knows something that no one else on the planet knows. The reality is it's lots of practitioners that do what we do, but it's the rapport, it's the care, and it's the real life experience of using this in so many different ways. Like, I can do
100.
each one with just speaking to you because I understand how to split works, and it's a philosophy, and philosophy can be translated to any modality, and you can make techniques and programs out of philosophy. So one of the greatest things about what this brother teaches is it's not about technique, number 1. Number 2, it's not about technique. It's about the philosophy. And my example would be Shaolin Kung Fu. When they do tiger, it's exaggerated motions, right? Because it's what you see, what you think you see of a tiger. But what we study from Wudang is the principle of a tiger. Imagine a 700-pound creature creeping up on you unheard and then throwing his body at you because he knows he's heavier than you. This is a philosophy. This goes way deeper than one. And it can be applied to various aspects of life. So this is why I feel like this, is beautiful. And also I want to say thank you, Raphael, the bass. I think he said bass drummer. Thank you. Good evening to you. I saw your message. He was in the middle of talking. I didn't want to interrupt it because he had a train of thought, but I want you to know every message that come up here I see. Also saw Moya was in the house. Gotta say what's up to Big Mo. She in the house. She came in and dropped in and she dropped some wonderful comments. So I just want to thank everybody for dropping in. Um, and leaving a comment because this is how we grow the channel. This is how we get the message out there. The more you comment, the more you like, share, and subscribe, the more the algorithm picks it up, and the more we're able to get out here and help more and more people. Because the goal here is to build a community. I'm currently working on a retreat with my brother Seth. I recently has Sudan's going to come and join me in this retreat. In this retreat, we're going to be offering Reiki healing. We're going to be offering group hypnosis and guided imagery healing, and we're going to be offering macrobiotic diet. We're going to be offering a wonderful Kung Fu system that when you leave that retreat, you'll be able to take it home, and before you leave, you're going to feel the magic of it, right? The whole goal of the retreat is for you to have a true experience that is so deeply ingrained in your neurological system that you don't have to worry about going home and losing it, right? And our first retreat is going to be done on the West Coast. It's going to be in a beautiful spot, and everything is going to be taken care of. Everything is all included in the price. The airline, your pickup, food. We've got some coupons for you to go do a couple things if you want. You know what I mean? There'll be plenty of time for you to see Las Vegas if you want to, because our first retreat will be done here. Our second retreat is going to be in Costa Rica. We're
Mm.
already setting up that now,
Nice.
and it's going to be beautiful because just to get out there, be near the water, we're going to be giving everyone a special stone that has been charged with your energy from it, right? And that's that stone you're going to take home with you. But this is gonna be so dynamic. Nobody's offering what we're offering. We're gonna have masterful Reiki. We're gonna teach you how to touch your own energy, see your own aura, get in touch, how to do proper qigong, how to actually let me tell you one of the fundamental things I learned that I'm so thankful for when it came to that, and that's posture,
Mm.
right? Think of the bones in your body and that frame as a conductor. The energy and everything is moving along. And when you have poor posture, you have poor reception, right?
100%.
And so when you know how to round the back, hollow the chest, tuck the chin, so slightly raise the tailbone, sit down into the knees, not deeply, get into the gaze. Take the deep breath within to the diaphragm, deep, deep, and relax and do it soft and gentle and do not force. You will have a magical experience because for the first time in your life, you're going to feel what it feels like of the movement of your internal world. You're very disconnected from it now. And you're experiencing it through emotional outbursts and stories that are shaping your reality. You think you have to think outside of the box, but I'm here to tell you there is no box. There are only dots. You're making a box out of it. So that's what we got coming down the pipeline. You know, me and his brothers working together. We're gonna be working together behind the scenes to bring you some more incredible things. You know, and the real goal here is to build this community and give you tools that work.
Indeed.
You know, I remember the first time I did qigong. I didn't have to do qigong for a week to feel how qigong really worked. Once I got in the correct posture and was shown and told what to do with by a good teacher that really understood, had rapport with me, so he knew what he was looking at. He knew what he saw. He could feel what was going on with me internally, right? Which meant he could tell me, correct me, help me. First day, I could feel it. The the heat, the wooziness, right? The legs shaking like they're gonna give out, but they never do. They never give out. And I realized what I felt was energy moving through my legs for the first time. That's what it feels like. We're so disconnected from our internal world. And so the Kung Fu with the hypnosis and the Reiki and a proper diet, you're about to become a Super Saiyan. You're about to get on the level you want to be on. And as my brother was telling you earlier, it's about your state. You trying to this is where you trying to change yourself. You like, I want to be better. So you look at the results of what you think better is. Then you start taking actions and then you look for a change. But you're still doing that from the same place of the person that doesn't do it. You got to step into the person that does it. You got to embody them by how they feel, how they respond. And then you don't have to think about the next action. The next action is natural. That's why they mean by free will, but you don't have free will. See, once you enter into a state, every choice you make from that point on is based on the state you're in. You didn't have a choice. You're not making choices. You answering multiple choice questions that's been given to you already. But when you change your state, then you have different choices because the choices you make are based on the state you're in. Don't believe it? You tell me when you was really upset and acting on your emotions that you made good decisions. It don't work that way, right? but nobody gave us any tools to really get in touch and control ourselves, right? Because we come from a different class of, we don't live in the same time. See, as we progress along, we become more and more thought, more and more spiritual, more and more immaterial. Look around you. Your money was physical, it's paper. It's no longer digital is thought. It's in the ether. You know what I'm saying? We used to collect a bunch of DVDs. Why? Why do we need that now? Right? We used to have these photo albums, these physical pictures. We don't need that. We get this little device and it has lifetimes of pictures on it because it can hold more information, more than the physical could ever do. So we are entering into that real era of the ethereal because we are seeing the things that we value are becoming more and more thought processed than a physical thing. And that's why what we have to offer right now is so valuable to help you change where you are right now. And like I said, you don't need a week to see a difference. You just need proper instruction to do it right. Just like he said, hey, so you try to do a toe stand as a ballerina and you ain't never did it and you just jump, well, you're gonna break your toes. They're gonna break. You didn't have the right teacher, the right cultivation to get you there. But with the right tutelage, what happens? We excel because we're all here to, we're all a finger, you are a fingerprint, you unique. No one could ever bring your life story because no one else could ever live your life. And they could never see your life from your perspective. So we each bring something unique to this planet that we could all benefit from. And that's why I wanted to share this, brother, with y'all. Right? Because I see basic workout guys all the time, right? All the time. And there's benefits to all of that. But some of us need something a little bit more deeper. Something that involves all of us. I'm gonna tell you, you can't do Kung Fu like just doing push-ups. It don't work. You won't be able to because more of your mind is gonna be involved. That eye-hand coordination, right? Distancing, timing, and then feeling what it feels like to do it right. Please.
And and the best feeling of all, to touch your own personal power. Your own personal power, where the real you actually resides within you. That's the ultimate. Not a technique, but a principle. Like the brother was illuminating earlier, not the technique, but a principle. Because the technique, uh, let's say in the physical world, the technique can miss. You know, I tell you, hey, block, do this, do that. What if you miss the first block? Now you, oh, I can't do the technique. But the principle can change on the fly. You know, I change position. Which direction? Doesn't matter. Change position. Be flexible. Be malleable. So you learn the universal principles that you can apply to any situation. That's really what it is. You're really teaching yourself. You're really borrowing tools and implementing tools to discover your own personal power because it's very personal. I can't really teach you how to connect to you. I can only share with you the tools, and the implementation and the investigation is all done by yourself. You are your teacher. You absorb education and apply it. You know, that's why we don't adhere to cult leaders. Say anyone that says I am the way. Oh, you are the way, but for you, you are your way, and he is his way. Personal power. See, people don't talk about that a lot. If we just only look at the outside thing in MMA, we think, how can I beat this other person? I'm not strong enough to knock out Talib. I hit him and he just looked at me. You know? But that's the wrong idea. You know? The idea is your personal power. Your personal power commits you that I'm going, whatever the situation is, I will act. I will do something about it. I won't be frozen. You know, in Chinese wrestling or Shuai Jiao, everyone gets thrown eventually, but you don't want to be controlled where you can't do anything. So what, you get thrown by the person. You throw them, you throw each other, whoever has the best score at the end wins. But if the person shuts you down and you can't do anything and they're just controlling you, that person could be life or an experience from life. It's controlling you where you can't do anything. That's when it's time to get in touch with your personal power and be able to act. You know, bravery is one thing. Sometimes bravery is intelligent, sometimes it's foolish. But courage is always golden, because courage is the ability to act even when you are afraid. You can still act. You're not frozen. And that's the key. Long as you have that, you will find what you're looking for. You know, we're in the business of becoming finders. You know, seekers just go on seeking. We want to find stuff. That's what we want to do. And I think the brother's doing an exemplary job of that, you know. So, you know, you guys make sure you reach out. You can reach me directly at coachsudan@gmail.com if you're ready to work on your own personal power system, incorporating many elements: martial arts, music, meditation, hypnosis, and what have you. You know, take from all good sources. And that's it. And that's what I've gotten from this brother for several decades now.
Likewise, brother. It's been an amazing journey, man. It took us down paths where we had to go our own ways and come back together and be like, yo, let me tell you what I saw down that road, bro. You won't believe it. You know what I'm saying? But the road always comes back together, you know?
Yes.
And that's the most beautiful thing to me. And we coming up on the end of the show. And what I do want to say to everybody out there, the line is open if you want to come up and have a dialogue, a conversation, or give your input to this about body syndromes, about martial arts, about anything we're speaking on, or if you have a topic that you think sort of correlates, please come on in. Feel free. You know, this is his first time on the show, so you don't know. Sometimes people do drop in. You know, one time we had a great brother drop in, and we did some hypnosis with him, and it really helped him a great deal. And I got to follow up with him later and find out how wonderful it was an experience for him and how it changed him. So I also offer people coming up, we can work on something. I have many techniques and modalities, and I usually will work with someone and give them a technique or a tool that they can take with them. I will get them to give me a score of how they feel about something. If it's from 1 to 10, 1 being the lowest, 10 being the highest, and then we do the technique and see where the number is at after that. Number goes down, and then it's like, wait, the number went like now that's called a noticeable shift, a noticeable change, you know. And now they can take that home with them if they to get off the line, and you can, you know, practice it, do it whenever you need it, you know. I just want to always be able to, you know, give these tools out and fixing yourself should be free, to be honest with you. You know, if you're willing to put the energy in, you know, there's a lot of techniques out there. There's a lot of things you can do that will work with your mind, right? And if you're watching this show, somewhere in your own unconscious mind, because you brought two minds to this show today, the conscious mind and your unconscious mind. Your conscious mind is listening to me, observing and judging what I say. But your unconscious mind, it knows how to learn and it knows what it needs to hear. And you don't need to be aware of that because it is your own internal resources that'll bring you to the knowing that you've always known. And on that note, we're going to end the show. My name is Talib. This has been my very, very special guest, man, Bronze Tiger. He will be back on the show 150%, you know. And we got some more stuff I'm looking at doing and coming on more often and more frequently. But I want to thank you for joining me. You can find me at beyondthemindhypnotherapy.com. You can also find Beyond the Mind Hypnotherapy on TikTok, Instagram, and Facebook, as well as YouTube. So I'm gonna say thank you, and I'll see you next week. But until then, expect a miracle.
Welcome to Rewriting Your Reality, a video focused on hypnotic modalities to shift the belief systems that keep you captive. We will explore the journey from being subconsciously programmed to achieving quantum freedom. Get ready to dismantle everything you thought you knew about your own limitations. The mind's power is a historical fact. Franz Mesmer introduced animal magnetism in the 1700s. James Braid coined hypnotism, defining it as a focused physiological state. Crucially, before anesthesia, major surgeries were performed using this trance state, proving the mind's ability to override physical pain. My personal journey proves the mind transcends the body. A near-death experience revealed pure awareness. After being paralyzed, I reprogrammed my body through visualization and discipline. The core truth is that identity is the prison and the key. Your mind can reshape reality itself. Unmasking the global hypnotic modality. Secret societies and governments. They understood the power of the trance state long ago and weaponized it to shape societal structures from the shadows. Corporate hypnosis. Advertising and media use sophisticated neuro-linguistic programming, NLP, to obscure reality and shift your belief systems without your consent. The ultimate goal, to control the narrative, consumption, and consciousness of the masses, turning individuals into predictable units of a manufactured paradigm. They are the masters of the hypnotic modality. The first element of global hypnotic modality is authority, manufactured to establish psychological inferiority. Uniforms, robes, and controlled environments trigger unquestioning obedience. When you look up to an authority, your critical factor is lowered, accepting suggestions as absolute truth. The uniform is the first induction. The second element is translogic, a self-contained system logical only within its own framework. This creates a closed loop of reasoning. A doctrine establishes ultimate authority, turning rules into absolute truths. The paradigm acts as a perceptual filter, making external manipulation feel like internal conviction. The third element is overload, creating an intense, rapid-fire experience that bypasses the conscious mind. Techniques include sensory saturation, emotional triggers, and message overload. This forces the subject to feel something profound, anchoring the belief without rational scrutiny. The heart accepts what the head has no time to question. The grand illusion is when you become your own hypnotist. Division keeps us fighting each other, distracting us from the masters of the modality. They use filtered evidence to make you doubt your power. The ultimate control is when you self-hypnotize with their suggestions. I am not enough. This is the self-hypnosis of suffering. The quick release uses the Sedona method to clear emotional debris. Emotional baggage is just something you are holding on to. You can drop it using these 4 questions. Could I let this feeling go? Would I let this feeling go? When? Answer. Now. Repeat until you feel a tangible shift in your state. The reframe shifts meaning and reality. Change the meaning you attach to an event, and you change your emotional response. Content reframing actively searches for the positive intent or hidden benefit. Failure is just data and feedback. A block is a stepping stone. Change the question to change the destination. You are already in a trance. Self-hypnosis is choosing your own program. This is your new operating system. Use a simple countdown to enter a deep state and plant empowering beliefs into your subconscious mind. Consistent practice rewrites your core identity, dissolving suffering and manifesting the quantum you. Are you ready to take your quantum leap?